show you what I did on the drawers. Oops. So on this top one, so I've cut a U out, and then in the back on the sides, I cut the back of the panels. So I'm going to leave this open, but I think what I'm going to do is just tack down to the side around just a little trim piece. That'll kind of work as a lip so that whatever I put in here, I can, I'll know not to put it over that, and it also kind of keep it from getting stuck under the sink. So nothing real high, just enough just to kind of mark it. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of stuff in this top one. It'll probably be like sponges and dish things like that. Just little small junk drawer type. But even though it looks like there's a lot of space, there's actually only a couple inches on either side that I can actually store stuff in just because of the sink. And then this little notch was cut so that the drain could slide up in between. But the sink is short enough that I could leave the drawer in, and I figured that would keep it more stable if I left the bottom in as much as possible. It is sticking a little. I got to figure out, it might just be because it's a little out of square now that it's cut, so I need to stabilize it, but I'll work on that later. So the second drawer, I didn't have to cut as much of a notch because we're just going around the pipes down there. So I probably will put a wall up around this whole thing just to keep items secure. And I think this drawer is going to be like my drawer for aluminum foil, parchment paper, and silicone bags, things like that, so that I have that space. So I'm very happy to have that done. It was something that was kind of looming over my head and felt intimidating, but yesterday, after the frustration of the sawdust and stuff blowing up onto the tub, it was nice to come in here and accomplish something. I also sort of cleaned up in here because it was pretty messy from all the construction, so just trying to clean it up a little. I do need to disassemble all of this because I have to run the propane line, and I did get a carbon monoxide detector, which I'm going to put down there. So I need to run that and run wiring through that. So I'm going to take this off, run the propane line up to the stove and get that all situated, and then I'll mount that back and then run that wiring as well. So that's my next major project when I feel up to being brave. I spend a lot of time doing pep talks with myself that I can do it. So let's see, did I ever show this yet? I don't know. So I cut the 30 amp hole and put in the 30 amp power line. That's all been assembled, and the wiring's been run over to where the solar will be soon. And I got the drain pipes glued together all the way through here. So all that back there, I took all this out, assembled all that, and then put it all back together. So now I haven't permanently mounted any of my sinks yet. I'm holding off on doing that just in case I have to take something out. It'd be easier to reassemble it, but I need to run the drain and connect it, and same for the kitchen sink as well. So that's a little bit easier project to do. And then I also need to figure out a way to secure this part of the toilet because it's not secured down. It's just sitting there. It is pretty snug, but I think what I'm going to do is put like some little eye hooks and latch type, or one of those little toggle latches here, just to lock it in just a little bit more. This is secured to the wall and to the cabinet. The cabinet's secured to the wall. And then, so the drain pipe comes out here. So the tub's going to be right here. And this is what I'm doing with the drain pipe. So this is going to be behind the wall. And then there's going to be an opening right here where this pipe is going to come through. And then it's going to S-curve down and go down into the ground. And then the tub drain runs down about right here. And then underneath they can tie in together and go into the gray water tank. So once the tub is here, you won't be able to see this because one, the tub curves around, so it'll be kind of hidden. And then I'm going to build like a little shelf-like thing that's going to go around here, which serves two purposes. One, it'll hide that little bit of pipe that sticks out, and two, it's going to help to secure the tub into the location. And then on the back side, I'll build a little half wall, that same thing. So it'll be a little shelf on the back of the tub, and then it'll be a full wall here. Look at this crazy cat trying to walk the whole bus from one piece of furniture to the other. And he tried to climb onto the window and realized that wasn't going to work out. So my floor, this is my pallet wood floor. I did polyurethane those, but I think I might actually sand them down because I want to use my, after I did that, I found a wax polish that's made out of like linseed oil and beeswax, and I'd rather have that on the floor than polyurethane. So I'm going to probably do that. And then from, I'm trying to see which one, I think all of those are completed to there, and then all of these have not been stained yet. So those are ready to just sand and then coat. And then I do need to cut one little board here to fit in at the end. I miscalculated that. But I did want to clean this up just so I could kind of get this area back. And I'm not going to talk about that mess that I made. I'm very upset with myself, and I don't know what I'm going to do to cover that little disaster, but we'll see. What you think, buddy? You like our new home? Decided to go ahead and tackle part of the propane things today. So I went ahead and took the stove off. I thought I had to take the cabinet out first, but it turns out the cabinet was bolted down first and then this, so that made it easy. So unbolted that. So I'm working on the carbon monoxide detector. I've drilled a hole and I'm going to mount it right there. Oops, I had to take it apart so that I could get to where the wiring goes. So I'm working on that. And then I've also figured out how I'm going to run the propane line. So the propane needs to come up to here. So I'm going to drill a hole in the back here, and then the propane line will come down here. So right about in here, and we'll go straight down, and then it'll run under the bus down to about this area where the propane will be mounted. So that's going to be, I think, easier than what I originally anticipated. I do need to check because the fuel tank is under here, so it's going to be running above the fuel tank, but there's a big gap between the fuel tank and the floor of the bus, so that's, I'm not worried about that. I just need to make sure that there's not a cross beam that I'm going to hit. So right now I'm trying to figure out the DC wiring. So it's going to come in here and run along this channel. Let's see if I can show you from the front. So my intent is I'm going to build a drawer that's going to be a pull-out drawer here. So I'm trying to keep everything behind this panel. So there's that channel. So I do have these that I've mounted for support. So I got to figure out where the screws come up in those so that in the back side I can drill a hole to run the wiring through. Because I don't want it to come on this side because then it's going to be in the way of the drawer. Unless I do it all the way in the back and just have the drawer recessed a little bit, which is an option too if I can't drill a hole through the 2x4. Nice thing is this has a lever connection on it, so you just lift these up, you put your wires in, and then you close it, and then they're locked tight. So it came with that, so I can undo these to get it through the hole and then fasten it back on, and then run it back through. So that's what I'm going to do. My plan is to run the wire from here, and then it'll go under this board and it'll slip through there, and then under here, and then when it gets back to the wall, I'll have a hole in here to go through there, and then it'll come run through the bottom channel here. So right now I'm just going to run this part of the wire, and then I will figure out where the hole's going to end up. Where this is mounted, it's going to be somewhere like right in here. So it looks like from where the stove is mounted, it's going to be 5 inches over. 5, so I want the hole to be right in there. So typical for any project I work on, I'm never able to just do it from start to finish. So this one I'm going to have to stop for the day because I got out my propane tubing and I thought I had everything I needed to run and set up the whole propane system. But apparently I neglected the step from getting it from this to the burner. So these are two different sized attachments. So I've got to see if I had intended to run this wire, this hosing all the way up to here and then have a different attachment, or if there's a different hose that attaches to here. So setting that aside for today, I do know where I'm going to put my hole and all that, so I've written that down so I don't forget. The other thing I need to do is stain this side. I hadn't previously done that, and I was waiting until I pulled it back out, so I need to find the stain and get that out and do that. So that probably will be a project for tomorrow. So I was just sitting here editing this video and I realized it has kind of an abrupt ending, and so I wanted to try to do better and create an ending for the video. Originally, I had another segment that this was going into, but it was going to make the video way too long, so I decided to cut it off here for the sake of time, and I'll add that to another future video. But to wrap it up, for my propane stove, I have the yellow CSST, the corrugated stainless steel tubing that's going to come up inside the bus, and then from there it needs to have the copper tubing that runs up to the stove. And so I have the connections. I have two of these, and I'm going to flare the pipes and put the connections on and be able to run that from the stove down to the back of the stove, and then the CSST pipe will attach down at the bottom and go out the bus. So that's what I'm going to be working on next, and I just wanted to make sure that this video didn't have an abrupt ending and made a little more sense. So I'm going to end it here, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.